This is the Ministry of Truth. You are listening to the sounds of the true history. We have always been there. We have been a part of your world since your peoples began. We are the two dudes from Gallifrey, and we are the truth. Prepare now for our voices from the Vortex.
Broadcast amplitude at maximum capacity. Transmitting through time and space in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Vortex.
Voices from the Vortex reviews Doctor Who Series 10, Episode 8, The Lie of the Land. Hey guys, welcome to another exciting review from Voices from the Vortex. I, of course, am Matt.
And I am Taylor.
And I wanted to go ahead and just mention this right off the bat before we start. There will be some exciting things happening near the end of this podcast. My hand is already starting to glow.
Ooh.
A little teaser for you.
What's gonna happen?
So how are you guys doing out there in Voices from the Vortex land?
I think you know what, I'm doing great. This episode was The Lie of the Land, and it was pretty good. But Matt and I we have some mixed feelings about this one. So strap in.
This is pretty good. This is going to be a fun one to talk about.
We may get a Matt rant this time. Who knows?
No. Look, seriously. All right. I'm going to tease you more. Full on trailer. By the end of this episode, I will regenerate. Okay, that's going to happen. You've seen it now. You've heard it from me here. Okay, so there's going to be no additional Matt rants whatsoever. I'm going to regenerate by the end of this episode.
I can't wait.
So, this is episode 8, and we're talking. This is actually like a part 3, right? This is a third part to what everyone seems to be calling the Monk Trilogy. It kind of caps off the story for the monks and their invasion of Earth, which everyone has to accept as reality. And it's definitely one of those episodes that gives us a lot of information all at once. It's one of those episodes that kind of throws a lot of information up front at you, gives us some exposition with Bill and the Doctor and Nardole, and then ends with a whole bunch of information, and the episode's done. And kind of status quo was reset on Earth. So I think overall I think it was a good episode. I certainly do. So let's talk a little about the plot and the monsters for this. One of the first things is this is definitively a Monks episode, right? This is the third part of a Monks episode. Mm-hmm. And the big thing is it's about the monks having gone back now and changed history through time. So people believe the monks have always been there, and they're even taking credit for some of the accomplishments that we've seen throughout the series of Doctor Who.
Yeah, I thought that really kind of made me laugh when you have this Peter Capaldi's reading this thing at the beginning, and he's talking about they defeated the Daleks and the Cybermen and the and the Weeping Angel, and I just imagine he's like he's just so mad about that he has to say that. Right. He's like, it wasn't me.
Well, and this is the egotist of a doctor, too. This is very much so a Colin Baker. He likes being known for what he's done. He likes making sure. So one of the big... You're going to hear me say this a couple times throughout this review. One of the plot holes... So the monks have this power, right? These threads where they can alter reality. They never really give us an explanation as to how this is used, or why they can do this, or why they even need people to consent to it. They say something in the last episode, they say something about, well, people gotta love us. in order for this to work, so that way they never rebel against us. But clearly we see people who are rebelling against this now, because as we said last review, there is no voice for authority for all the peoples on Earth. The Earth isn't one government. So I'm not entirely sure what the monks were intending to do. I came out of this episode going, I don't know what the point of this was.
Well, you're right in the fact, we find out that the reason they need the consent is so that they can, form the link or whatever with Bill, is what they do, so they have to find that person who gives that, consent, like when Missy says, without agenda or, ulterior motive or whatever. So that they kind of explain that, but they don't really explain why the monks are even there in the first place. They're invading Earth, but is this just your standard run-of-the-mill invasion, just because? They didn't. There was no reason. They just to have the planet. Even the Daleks, they have a reason. It's because you're not Daleks, or
the Centaurans,
other species,
because they want to use it for cloning planet.
Yeah, exactly. Other species, they want to use the resources of Earth. They want to take it over. So, there was no real reason.
Even,
and that kind of bugged me a
the
little.
Slovene wanted to destroy the planet so they could sell the nuclear irradiated planet chunks for money, because starship fuel is expensive. It's a rough economy. Even they, it was money. It was basically the Lex Luthering of the Earth.
With just as much farting, too, as Lex.
Just as much. Oh, so much Gene Hackman farting. Disgusting. That's why he's bald.
I prefer Kevin Spacey's farts, to be honest.
Who doesn't? They smell like unicorn farts, which smell like Skittles.
He teaches a master class on it. It's pretty good.
He does, actually.
But yeah, there was no motivation there for the monks.
There wasn't.
And I can, in my mind, I can go, okay, it's just a run-of-the-mill invasion. They just want to take over because they're evil. Right. I can do that, but I don't know. It doesn't hook me as much if there's not a reason.
I was willing to give it to the end of whatever storyline they were telling, right? So we first see all this come about in extremis, right? We see that the monks have been planning this invasion, that the monks are very old, and that they've been running a simulation to find the perfect opportunity to win the Earth the way they want. And then Pyramid at the end of the world, obviously that's the act of getting it done. Alright, so we got to this episode, I'm like, there's gotta be... I was hoping for a big showdown at the end with the Doctor and the monks, where the Doctor and the monks could converse, and we could finally get... I was hoping the monks would say, okay, maybe it's just a run-of-the-mill invasion. Maybe they'd say something like, but we're running from something else, or but once we control 1,000 planets, we win free tacos for life at Space Taco Bell. I don't know what. I'm just saying it would have been something. But instead...
we had a Groupon for...
We had a Groupon.
For 50% off invasions.
That's the kind of stuff I'm expecting. But Moffat likes to leave us in the dark, because Moffat's a jerk. No, because Moffat's a writer who believes that he leaves it to your imagination. Whatever reason you wanted them to have control the planet, that's your reason to believe it. Now, maybe we find out reasons at the end of the season. Maybe they're tied in with the finale and everything, and they're gonna... That's a very high probability that the monks will return in the final episodes. But I still feel like we were left out of so much explanation.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, I could see the monks coming back at the end, because this was kind of a big deal. It took up most of the season. If you really look at it, if you factor in the Doctor's eyesight, this was kind of a four-parter. That was a factor to it. It carried over. So, this right. kind of... This storyline here with the monks and the Doctor's eyesight and, it took up so much, and then it brought Missy into it, and we know Missy's kind of the through line for this again. So I could see them coming back. But you're right. We were left out of a lot of stuff. And, you know, they did give us a lot of information. But yeah. So I felt like there was just something missing. You know, it was just there could have been a little bit more. That was my problem with it. It was I really liked the episode, but I felt like there was just something that it was not quite what I expected, I guess.
Yeah. So I think we've all seen this with Moffat before, where he just leaves out massive clues, massive pieces of information to what's really going on. You know, like my famous rants about Prisoner Zero. There's too much. There's too many clues, too much supposition, not enough explanation. So
right.
But kind of moving on too is talking about how once again this is humanity completely forgets everything that happened at the end of this. So status quo is returned to normal,
right?
Which is a Moffat kind of thing. Well, that's a Davies thing to do.
Yeah.
Because nobody believes that it happened. Oh, the Battle of Canary Wharf. Well, you know, nobody knows what the ghosts were. You know, mass hallucination.
Right. Yeah. I always loved that where they would cut to the news. They would cut to the news and like, you know, they were like, people said it was just, you know, students playing a prank. It's like, come on, really? That's what people think.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. It kind of bothers me because you know, even if time didn't change, things didn't reverse itself and undo the 3 months that they were there.
It was 6. It was 6. Yeah.
People were actively engaged in rounding up people and putting them in labor camps. They didn't just kill people; they put them in labor camps. So what about the people in labor camps? They're going to remember what happened. B, what about the people that died? Someone's going to have to explain that. C, and probably more importantly, what about the people who were in the military working for the monks? They were going against maybe their own human nature.
Right.
So now it's like, I feel like the doctor's saying, humanity forgets about it.
They just forget.
Well, maybe that one...
Yeah.
Maybe that one girl that walked past him, and she's like, oh, I don't know, this is from filming of a movie or something. Maybe she didn't care, because she's like 17, and what does she care? But I gotta believe that somewhere out there is somebody going, why did I murder people?
Yeah.
Like...
Someone out there is having nightmares, and they don't know why. Yeah. There's no way. I mean, you look at some of the other stuff, you're like, oh, you know, planets in the sky. Like, that was crazy. You know, we saw planets in the sky, and yeah, maybe you could forget seeing those. And if you ever like have a vision of that, you're like, oh, that's, you know, that was a crazy thing. Oh, they saw that, you know, sort of in my dreams or something. That was kind of weird. But this is like, it was 6 months of people being actively in a resistance, or working for, you know, a dictatorship. Well, not a dictatorship, but like working for these monks, like rounding up people. It was like 6 months of this. So I kind of find it far-fetched that no one's going to remember this kind of stuff. That this is all just going to like fall out of somebody's head. So
we also learned during all of this that you know, it wasn't the doctor who saves the day at the end. Certainly, it was Bill. And it was her untouchable memory. It was the memory of her mother.
Yeah, and I thought that was
the day.
Right, and that was really interesting. And I kind of followed it, but like let me kind of say what I think happened, and then maybe you'll agree or not. So the reason it worked is she was thinking of her mother, and he says that this is he said it was an untouchable, you know, untainted memory that the monks couldn't affect because it wasn't a real memory. It was a memory that she had made up of her mother. But it, you know, and he said, "Oh, it's a time before the monks. You know, she's a connection to that time because she died before. But you know, your connection to her is so strong, and you're thinking of her. And so she basically made up a memory of her mother, and they couldn't, you know, fight back against it because it wasn't a real memory.
Right?
Does that about sum it up?
I think it does. Here's, I mean, okay, let's take out our trusty finger that could poke holes and a flimsy story. And let's start. I'm going to poke a few holes here. Poke. But wouldn't anyone who could invent a character in their head then be able to stop the monks? Poke. But all memories happened before the monks, and they were manipulated anyway, including people that died and events that happened when people weren't alive yet. Poke. Because the doctor gave Bill some pictures, she was able to create a fake version of her mother that she could talk to? I feel like it's... Moffat wrote himself into a corner and didn't know how to write himself out. I understand this is written by Toby Whitehouse. This is Moffat's fingerprints all over it.
His grubby mitts.
How, like, how do we do this? We've created they had to try to find a reason for the monks to take over, and they created this perfect scenario where one person gives them permission completely, and then they alter people's memories so they'd always been there, and they're loved and not feared, and like the whole premise starts falling apart there. And I think this is just one of those meh, Bill's special kind of moments. Like, they don't say it, but it's Bill's special. Something about her mother. She's special.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I found those were kind of the questions I had too. Was like, or the ideas I had was like, well, then couldn't the doctor have just like, oh, I'm gonna come up with this ice warrior named Crazy Bill Skaldeck, and he's not real, so the monks can't alter that memory or whatever. So
right.
So I don't know. Maybe it had to do with something her being human. Maybe it was because she was the linchpin. I don't know.
And that's
it wasn't exactly
thing,
clear.
Right?
Yeah.
Because she was the one that made the agreement, and it was a connection to her, so it was a powerful memory of hers that couldn't be overridden, maybe, I guess.
Yeah.
But it not being clear is kind of an important point. And, okay, so again, this isn't a terrible episode, this is a decent episode. It's just, there's so many holes in this bigger story, this Monk 3-parter, that it's the suspension of disbelief. How far am I willing to say, okay, but we got Missy, and that's what really matters. So, we got some Missy time. Speaking of Missy time. Speaking of Missy time, Missy!
Yay!
and she's trying to turn good?
What?
What? Okay, so $20. She's totally faking it. It's the lesson we learned with Davros, right? Season 9. She even stood on Skaro and said, "Oh, I've got a really good idea." And then the next time we see her, she's trying to be good and crying for the doctor. And I'm just like, she just saw Davros do that to you, bud. Like, really?
Yeah.
The doctor even says she can leave anytime she wants. she's not. The vault isn't there to keep her in; it's to keep other stuff out.
Right. It's either one of two things. It's either she's actually kind of like turning good, but then something will happen and she'll just snap right back into it. Oh, I forgot how much I loved this.
Yeah.
Or she's faking it. I mean, which
so
yeah.
Wait, you mean she's gonna be like, she's her and the doctor in the last episode, like do la da da, flying in the TARDIS, and all of a sudden she sees a puppy, and she the puppy's trying to get really close to her, and she's like, get away, and she kicks it, and it goes, ay, and she goes, oh, that felt good, and then she punts it really hard, ay, right out of the TARDIS into space, and she goes, oh, the doggy flew, and then like just it snaps at her like, I can kill puppies, I can kill everything. Is that what you're saying?
Back, baby. Yeah.
This is back, baby. Shih Tzu be damned.
It's gonna happen.
Well, and they've already said, we know it's a multi-master ending, right? We know that's happening. Right. Why would we have two masters in a story if they weren't both going to be batshit crazy? Why would we even do that? Like, we're not going to have
my
John
time,
Sims
Moffat.
being evil, right? And Missy's going to be super like, nope, gotta be good now. And no, it's not going to happen. Come on. Of course she's faking it.
I had an interesting.
Yeah.
I had a question about Missy, and okay. And this is kind of a doctor question, I guess, really, because when they go into the vault and he introduces Bill to Missy, he tells Bill, "This is Missy, the other last of the Time Lords." So, my question is, why did he call her that? Has he told Bill that, like, he's the only one of his kind left? Which, we know he's been to Gallifrey, but does he still consider Gallifrey to be lost? I guess I'm confused there. I feel like we've gotten to the point now where he can go back to Gallifrey anytime he wants, but can he? Does he?
Hold on.
Does he know exactly where it is, or what?
There's a couple of things here, right? First off, you're absolutely right that he knows Gallifrey's out there. So calling her Last of the Time Lords wouldn't make sense. Unless, does Missy know the Time Lord survived? Rule number 1, the Doctor lies. He's not telling Missy the truth. That's my first theory.
Okay.
Second
like
theory.
Yeah.
Well, that's the obvious one. Second theory. Because they were at the very far end of time, and after he left there, he ran away with another TARDIS with someone who was supposed to be dead but is alive, and even though he doesn't remember Clara, it's possible he knows that he did something stupid and ran away from the Time Lords again. So he in his mind he's just like, nope, they're not out there. I don't want to deal with it. And they might even be able to move through time. They might be moving Gallifrey from the end of time to the beginning of time. I don't know. I don't know what their powers are. I don't know what technology they have access to. So that's 2. Here's the third theory. He erased everything in his mind about Clara. And he remembered the story of going to Gallifrey. But that doesn't mean he remembers Gallifrey. It doesn't mean he remembers that it's still out there and that they're back.
They're where it is.
The story.
Yeah. Right.
Right. So he might have erased that from his memory. Not that he erased Gallifrey from his memory. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that whole adventure that he tells Clara this story in the end of season 9, all of those particulars might now be gone. He might not remember that the Time Lords are at the end of time. Even though we told the story to Clara in the diner after it all happened. Yes, I get that. I'm just saying, a lot of stuff in that episode happens that doesn't make sense because Moffat wrote it. So wibbly wobbly, maybe he doesn't remember. So I'm just posing some ideas for why he might have said that. But I think the first one's the key. I think he's lying to Missy.
Yeah, that would be really interesting because she told him back in season 8, "I know where Gallifrey is. I'll give you the coordinates or whatever." But she was lying. She didn't know.
Was she?
So
she gave him coordinates in space. She said nothing about time, and she would have been on Gallifrey when the Doctors saved it. The Doctors saved it because John Sims, in fighting Rassilon, went back into the Time War to Gallifrey to the final day, and in the 50th, the General says to the other guy, a random Time Lord B, the General says, or they say something like, "The High Council has plans of their own. The High Council's plans have already failed." Meaning that part has already happened, meaning the Master's back on Gallifrey during the time of Day of the Doctor. Quid pro quo, no. That's the wrong phrase. But suck it.
Yeah.
It sounds like maybe she already knew that Gallifrey was still there. She just didn't know what time they were in. So she gave him maybe she gave him the right coordinates.
Maybe.
Just not the right time. Maybe.
I tell you what, I'm really excited for John Sim to come back because that is I really hope they answer what happened because like how he got off Gallifrey, how he got out of the Time War and became Missy. Like, I want to know. There's a gap in my memory that I need to know. So, yeah.
I completely agree. Which brings us to another great Moffat moment in this episode. This is, I think we can all collectively agree this was highly anticipated. And I know Taylor and I disagree on the execution of this. But the Doctor's test, when he, air quoting, regenerates.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't think it's fair at the beginning of a season for Moffat, the showrunner, to say, oh, the Doctor's regeneration is going to be quite tricky indeed this time. Very complicated, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then show us in the trailers him regenerating, leading us to believe that at the end of this Monk's Trilogy, we're going to see the regeneration, and then there's going to be something tricky about it, when, at the end of the day, everybody was lying. That it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I say, that's a dirty trick, and Moffat's one foot out the door and no longer gives a rat's butt about what people think about him, and he's a jerk. Thoughts?
Yes, I actually really enjoyed the bit at the time when I watched it. When I watched it, when it happened, I was like, "Oh, that Capaldi! I can't believe it." But then, yes, later on, I'm like, you know what? That maybe that's why that's why I was expecting more from this episode, because it was built up so much. It was in all the trailers at the beginning. And then it was even in the next time trailer a little bit, so it was just like this whole thing. And you and I, we've been talking about it for weeks now, that, is he gonna regenerate? What's gonna happen there? And it turned out to be something totally different, and totally not even, which it usually is, something totally different than what you and I are theorizing. But this time it was something different, but it was less than what we thought. It was just like, it wasn't even real. Like, with the David Tennant thing, it was real, but there was an explanation, something happened, it was a real regeneration, it was kind of a crazy kind of thing. I don't know, this one, it was just like, it was a trick. And
it was a trick, yeah. It was a trick for the Doctor to test Bill, and had this not been publicized, had it not been in the trailers, had they not put that trailer out at the same time that they said his regeneration's going to be really complicated, I feel like that's what killed it for me. So this episode could have been great. Had I not known that this was going to happen, had I gone into this episode with no idea that a regeneration was coming, right? I mean, I know at the end of the season he's going to regenerate. I meant in this episode, if I had no clue that he was going to do this during the season instead of on the Christmas special, I think this would have been a really great moment. I would have like freaked out when it happened, and then been like, "What? Oh man, that's good going, Doctor." But as it is, I feel very lied to, and I don't appreciate. I know I have been a champion of Moffat, no matter how belabored I have been about season 6. I know I've been a champion of Moffat, but I'm ready. I think it's time. He needs to go. I want new blood in the show, because I'm just it's the same old tricks that I'm just six seasons of Doctors in. It's just not charming anymore. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel. That's how I feel about that. But otherwise, it was an interesting thing to do in an episode.
Yeah. No, I totally agree that it's because it was built up so much that it didn't have the impact that it did. It had a different, at least for me and you. I don't know about anybody else who really hasn't been like, looking at all these interviews and stuff. You and me, we do our research, but
we do too much research.
maybe we should just not do anything. But no, the impact was lessened because we were ready for something. We were ready for something crazy, and it just turned out to be just a fun little thing. Which I liked it, that it was a fun little thing, but I was expecting more. So yeah, I agree.
This was also a really great Bill episode.
Oh yeah, that's the one thing I really liked about this episode, was there was a lot of focus on Bill. I feel like the first episode we got a lot of it, but the last couple of episodes it was a lot of really good stuff about her her with the Doctor and how she works with the Doctor and how she helps him and how smart she is. And that's all great. I like that. But I felt like the whole stuff with her mom was really great. I really liked sort of that connection back to her, her family and her home life. And we just haven't seen a lot of that. And so this was a good window into that. I really liked the whole bit with her mom, and she would have the conversation with her mom at the table and stuff like that. So I thought that was really great.
Well, and you really see that her relationship with the Doctor is strengthening. It's that line he delivers at the end. Amongst 7 billion, there's always someone like you. That's why I put up with the rest of them. And that speaks directly to the Doctor's character. Oh, yeah. I love that. Yeah, I love that line. That was really good. That whole conversation at the end that they had, and she's like, why do you do it if they don't remember? And he says that, and just like, it's like, yes, I love that. That's what I want from the Doctor and his companion. It was perfect. So yeah, Bill was really, a force in this episode. And, she kind of led the narrative in this one. There was sort of that narration of her talking to her mom. And they used that throughout the episode to sort of narrate the action. And so I really enjoyed Bill's role in this one. What did you think of, how did Missy put it, the Doctor's version of good?
Oh, well, see, yeah, I thought that was interesting, and because we like to talk about the sort of the characters and the character development in this one, and Missy's trying to be good, but she's like, okay, well, so then you have to kill the Link, and he's like, no, there's got to be a different way, and she's like, no, that's the way to do it, and that's the good way, to save all these people, and she says that the Doctor's version of good is vain and arrogant and sentimental, and I like that because it's true. With Doctor Who, he's the hero, but he's a complicated hero, and she's exactly right. He's vain, he's arrogant, and he's sentimental, and that causes him to, make mistakes and not just do the right thing right away. He always has to find a different way. So I like that, and I know that's the kind of stuff you and I like to talk about with the Doctor and his character. So,
well, I love that you said it yourself. You just said it, and I think it's dead on for the Doctor. He's a complicated hero. For the Doctor, and he's kind of made reference to it now over the last 3 or 4 years. It isn't always about being the Doctor. You can't be the Doctor every day. He even says that. I'm not always the Doctor. He says, but I try to be. I aspire to be. So even now, 2,000 plus years, he says, I won't spare one person to save everybody. Or, I'm sorry, I won't sacrifice one person to save everybody. And it's interesting that Missy puts a really good point to it. She says, if it's one person, if you just got to kill one person to free an entire planet, that's acceptable, because people die every day. And if you're saving everybody, one person's death is fine. And I think there are days where the Doctor has agreed with her. There are days where the Doctor has been able to say, if I just got to sacrifice one person, that's fine, because then everybody else lives. And it's interesting that on some days he says, no, I'm the Doctor today, which means nobody dies. And that's what that means today. And it is very vain and arrogant and sentimental. And it's one of the reasons I think I love the Doctor so much, is because he struggles with that the same way we do. So we've been talking about the season arc. Obviously, Missy in the Vault is the seasonal arc. I don't buy for a minute that she's learning to be good. I just don't.
Right. Well, it's funny because the season arc, and maybe we'll see some more in the next episode, and the next couple. But in my opinion, the season arc kind of shrunk real fast. So it was about at first it was about the vault. Who's in the vault? Oh, there's somebody in there. Oh, he can go in there. It's not like some kind of monster. Oh, it's Missy. And now at the end, all we got was, she's crying. And so it's like, Okay, so now the season arc is the Doctor teaching Missy to be good. Like that's kind of what it turned into. I know there's still some unanswered questions, and hopefully we'll get the answers to that. So like, what's her plan? Obviously, she's faking, or she's gonna not. She can't. The Master just can't not be evil. You know, that's goes against the show. But you know, so what is the deal there? But yeah, so the season arc definitely changed into something else, and right now it's changed into this. The Missy's taking, you know, goody two shoes lessons.
Well, and I'm going to disagree with you.
Sure.
Because I don't think the seasonal arc has changed at all. In fact, I'd say the seasonal arc is the oath that he took. So we just recently saw the oath that he promised. He promised that he would watch over Missy for 1,000 years because she is trying to get herself good. She's trying to clean herself of being evil. She's detoxing the evil out of herself. Mm-hmm. And so his oath is to her. His oath is to give her that chance and to protect her and to be a part of that and not to run off and do other things and leave her to relapse. So, and the reason I say that is because from the very beginning, we've known that him and the vault and the oath have been there. But at first, that's the only bit of the information we have. Eventually, we find out that there's someone inside of there, and the oath is to the person inside. And then we find out it's Missy that's inside, and the oath is to Missy. And while she and the vault weren't necessarily, say, in Pyramid, the Pyramid of Mars, Pyramid at the End of the World, she was an extremist in the sense that he spoke to her, and he says, I may need to call upon you. Things are going to get rough. I may need you soon to help. And then, you know, through this 3-parter, the next time we see her, that's exactly what she's doing. Is he's gone to her and is, all right, now it's time, I need your help. So I think the oath has actually expanded. I think the seasonal story arc has grown, not shrunk. And that if it is just about the oath and about the Doctor trying to fix his friend and to help her get better, but now we're seeing more and more about it, and it's taking over more of the episode. Mm-hmm. I think it's growing in its scope of what the seasonal story arc is about.
I see what you're saying. I like that. Yeah.
But nothing can deny how great the production has been on this season.
Yes.
Movie quality.
One thing in the production that I really liked was the scene where they all had the headphones on and they go to sort of storm the pyramid. And so they go in, and it's this really great action sequence where they're all, you know, they're shooting the monks, and the monks are shooting lightning out, and the guy's diving and all this stuff. But all the while, it's all silent. Like, it's all kind of muffled except for the script that Bill is reading. And I just loved that scene. I just thought it was a really well shot, well put together. I thought it was really cool. So that's one of the things that stood out for me, at least.
I like that scene, too, and I like the production of that scene. I like the direction that they went in and the choices the director made. I'm going to say this, though. This is a good example of how Moffat has run out of ideas. Moffat's hit his brick wall. He's done. He has to get out of this job. Because a bunch of people in a pyramid fighting against aliens that shoot lightning out of their hands was literally the ending of Season 6. This is the exact same damn scene.
You're right.
I get it, but like, come on, soldiers, and they have to wear something so that way they're not
affected by the monster.
So they lose a tactical advantage. Instead of an iDrive, it's a pair of Beats headphones. But it's the same thing, and it just and as soon as the guy loses it, he goes crazy, and just like all the people who had the iDrives on were dying. So okay. Anyway, Moffat has run out of clever ideas. I'm ready for the chibs.
Yeah, the chibs. Bring on the chibs.
Bring on the chibs, yo! What? CC to the rescue! I can't. Yeah. It's funny you said this. You said it was silent, and I'm like, yes, they are the silence. I mean, what? No, the monks. Dang it!
You're completely right. I can't believe I didn't catch.
When did they start shooting lightning out of their hands? Like this is a new development.
I don't know. That and the shields, they would form a shield of like coral or whatever that was. That was kind of
yeah.
neat.
They I am Grooted themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Moffat's picked up a new trick. Here we go. No, the production on it's absolutely top notch, and the scene in the room where the thing is controlling it with its brain, and the doctor touching it and he thrown back, and then Bill do it, and all this on the wall, all the pictures popping up, and I thought that was beautiful.
Oh yeah, I like that too.
That is movie quality, ladies and germs. Movie quality.
Yes, for sure.
So, what were some of your favorite moments or quotes from this episode, Taylor?
Oh my god! So there were some really funny lines in this one. The ones that a lot of times I'll watch Doctor Who and I don't necessarily like laugh out loud, but like I'll be kind of giggling as I watch. There were several times in this where I just was like, "Brah!" Like I was just laughing out loud.
That is how he laughs, people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, when right at the beginning when Nardole shows up and she holds the chair up at him and they both scream and he goes, "Ah, it's me! It's Nardi!" It was just
Nardi.
The fact that he called himself Nardi. Brilliant. It was so funny.
No, the fact that he assumes that she calls him Nardi and he's using the clever nickname that she would have given him. It's even more adorable.
Exactly.
I personally liked the Missy moment where she says, "No, I'm the link," and then Missy just goes, "Awkward."
I like right before that she hits the piano, like right before. I'm the link. Plank. Awkward.
Oh, she's great. I love Missy. Absolutely love Missy.
Oh, I loved her line when she was talking about, "Oh yeah, you just have to kill the link." She was like, and they're like, "And you've done this?" And she goes, "Well, when I did it, all that was left was a wee girl, and I pushed her into a volcano." Just the way she said it, that's hilarious.
Oh.
Hey, did you catch the?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Michelle Gomez is great. Did you catch the reference to Magpie Electric? Did you see it?
Yeah, I think they've been throwing that in at least once a season. That was in season 9. That was the guitar case, not the guitar case, the speaker that he plugged the electric guitar into. Before the flood.
I don't know why, but for some reason that episode, they like to throw that reference in a whole bunch. I feel like I've seen it at least 4 times since. Mm-hmm. More than any other like running gag in the show, like at Magpie Electrics. For some reason, I keep seeing that store or that brand or whatever.
To be fair, really it's like the worst season 2 episode.
I know that's why it's so weird that they keep referencing it. But
why is it surviving?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to say, I think my favorite line in this whole episode was at the end when the girl, we were talking about it earlier, when the girl walks by. And he says, "Hey, you, appalling hair." You know, what's this thing? He just calls her appalling hair. I loved it. That's a great line.
Well, we've long since talked about, Capaldi just not having any social cues or social skills whatsoever, and he would just call people by whatever he saw that he thought stuck out, and it's usually negative. So. What are your Taylor? What are your final thoughts on the episode, my friend?
Well, I liked this episode. I thought it was pretty good, but for some reason I was expecting just a bit more. I don't know. There was something that wasn't quite there. It needed something. I don't know what it was, but maybe it's because I was expecting a crazy regeneration thing. Or maybe because a lot of times, you'll watch something and the ending of the story and what you think is never as fun as the wild speculation of what you thought maybe was going to happen and how it was going to wrap up. So overall, I loved it. I thought it was great Bill character development episode, that kind of thing. And it was a good ending to the Monk storyline. But just something was missing.
Yeah, and I'm going to agree with you on pretty much all of that. It's a good episode. It's not bad. No episode this season has been terrible. Production-wise, it was great. Character development-wise, it was great. It's a decent ending to a 3-part story with the monks. But for me, it's just curious that we still don't have answers, or to any of the stuff that was going on, the whys that it was going on. But I suppose, unless it's something they're going to reveal at the end of the season, I suppose that's just how Moffat likes to write his stories now. Has no clue why the monks are doing what they're doing, but, meh. I don't know, let's just go for the cheap regeneration trick, because it's year 6 for Moffat, and he's got 1 foot out the door, so whatever. So, no, it was fine. It's not my favorite of the season, and the monks will not stand out as one of my favorite characters or monsters going forward, but it was fun to watch. So there was certainly that.
Calculating. Voices from the Vortex gives The Lie of the Land 6 out of 10.
And now, my friends, it's time.
Oh my god, that promo. Oh my god, the promo.
Hey, it was a pretty decent promo.
Yeah, I liked it. This one looks really... This is the Empress of Mars, and written by Mark Gatiss. So, for me, Gatiss is either hit or miss. I either really like it, or I really don't. I really don't like it. So, the Robin Hood one was not very good.
No.
I'm trying to think of some of his others.
I'll tell you what. He had the best the first best cold open of the entire show. The Unquiet Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Which is one of the... in fact, I refer to that cold open constantly when I'm talking to people about how good stories can be, because it's that perfect form of cheeky, creepy, crazy, amazing. It's everything you want it to be in one. But then he follows that up with the Idiot's Lantern, which probably is why we're seeing Magpie Electrics. And then he did Victory of the Daleks, which is another reason why we saw Magpie Electrics. Victory of the Daleks is okay. Night Terrors, meh. Cold War, very good. Crimson Horror, meh. Robots of Sherwood, boo. Sleep No More, eh. So yeah, he really is hit or miss.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I really do like Mark Gatiss. He's done great work on Sherlock, and he's done great work on Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And it's just sometimes if the episode isn't quite there, I'm just I didn't really. And I liked Sleep No More. I really did like it until the end.
Right.
I just didn't like the end of it. So yeah, it's either for me, it's either hit or miss with him. But this one, it looks really campy and really fun. So I think he's kind of good at doing that. That's kind of his thing. Is he does the campy stuff.
Yeah.
Which could be, again, hit or miss. But this one looks fun. I love the Ice Warriors. I think they're a cool villain. I think they're a cool monster. And this promo looks really interesting. They're on Mars, but it's in the 1800s, and the British Army's there for some reason. And the Doctor seems confused about that. He doesn't know why the British Army is there. So it looks really fun. I think it'll be neat.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And plus, I love the Ice Warriors. It's because they're not they're used sparingly. They're not used, they're not overused like Daleks or Cybermen. So I really enjoy a good Ice Warriors story. And apparently he's going to introduce a new element to it. So
sure, well, and that's great. He's good at that too, and I love he's good with the humor too on Doctor Who. His episodes are usually have some really great humor in there, and so I always like that.
And maybe we'll finally find out that Moffat's been listening to everything we do when the Doctor makes reference to Crazy Bill Skaldak, you should open up a used space car lot.
That's right. Fingers crossed.
So don't let us down, Gatus. Don't let us down. Well, guys, this has been another great episode, another great review, another fun time talking to all of you.
Hey, hold on, wait. I thought you were supposed to regenerate.
Oh, yeah. Okay, ready, guys? Here it goes. And nope, it's all a publicity trick. I just wanted you to listen to the end.
Oh, man.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Woo! So
I can't believe I went along with the whole thing.
Yeah, so from Moffat to you, suck it. I mean, hey, thanks for listening.
Bring on the jibs.
Make sure bring on the jibs. Make sure if you guys like this video to like it on YouTube, to subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yeah.
If you listen to us on iTunes, great. We
Give us
love
a
our
review.
iTunes subscribers.
Yeah.
Give us a review. Hey, like our Facebook page or follow our Facebook page for updates and stuff we do. Follow our Twitter. Follow our Tumblr. Yes, we have a Tumblr for some reason. And if you have any questions whatsoever or just want to say hi and say what up, geez, send us an email, voicesfromthevortex@gmail.com. We'll be happy to hear from all of our 2 fans out there. And we will see you again next week for another exciting review from Voices from the Vortex.
Bye, everybody.
Bring on the chips.
Bring on the chips.
This has been another Voices from the Vortex review for Series 10, starring Matthew Whitecamp as Matt the Time Lord, Taylor Davidson as Taylor the Time Lord, and Danielle Davidson as the sexy voice of the TARDIS. All views expressed are the opinions of the 2 dudes from Gallifrey, and as such should be taken extremely seriously. Follow Voices from the Vortex on all social media, including Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Subscribe to us on iTunes. If you have any questions regarding the podcast, please email us at voicesfromthevortex@gmail.com. Doctor Who and all related materials are copyright BBC, and no infringement of copyright is intended. It's heavily implied, but never intended. All material is fan fiction of a satirical nature. Please, Mr. Moffat, don't sue us. We know you have a sense of humor. See you next time in the Vortex!
Temporal flight engaged. Returning to the Vortex. End of transmission.
To the Vortex!